Before we get started, we'd like to thank Liberty Mutual Surety for sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety. Liberty Mutual Surety provides all your bond needs, all in one place. For more information on Liberty Mutual's breadth of surety products and solutions, visit www.libertymutualsurety.com. Now on to our show.
You're listening to Let's Get Surety. Let me hear your bonding talk with Kat Shamapande.
Hey everyone, it's Kat Shamapande. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Let's Get Surety. Today I have with me my co-host Mark McCallum, CEO of NASBP. Hey Mark.
Hello Kat, great to be here.
I am happy to have you on. I think we're guaranteed to succeed today, Mark. What do you think?
Absolutely. We've got some great guests.
We do. So today we're excited to be talking about the Be Guaranteed to Succeed campaign and specifically the Producer's Toolkit 2.0. To do that, we have with us two amazing guests. We have NASBP's third vice president, Zach Mendelson, who's principal at Epic Brokers. Hey, Zach, thanks for being on.
Kat, pleasure to be with you today. Thank you.
And we also have Mike Speck, who's chair of the Industry Relations Committee with NASBP and a principal at Insurica Southwest. Hey, Mike, thanks for being on with us today as well.
You bet. Good morning, Kat. Happy to be here.
Well, Mike and Zach, before we get started, Zach, do you want to start just telling us a little bit more about yourself and about Epic Brokers?
Absolutely. My pleasure. So Epic Brokers has been around about 15 years. And has had an emphasis in the construction space the entire time. Our office here in Pittsburgh is made up of 18 specialists, with the majority of us working and touching construction on an everyday basis. Epic has 75 offices across the country. And again, it's construction and things related to it is what we do every day.
Great. Mike, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about Insurica Southwest?
Sure, I love to talk about myself. So I got started in the surety industry back in 1984. Roughly the first half of my career was on the bonding company side. And back in 99, I made the move to the agency side. Insurica Southwest is based out of Oklahoma City. We have over 30 offices across the country. They target agencies that have specializations. Ours here in Phoenix happens to be construction. So almost all our clients are commercial contractors, and we help them with not only their bonding, but their P&C and health benefit needs.
That's terrific. Well, before we dive into the Producer Toolkit, the Be Guaranteed to Succeed campaign is really about getting the word about the surety bond product out there. Why is that important? Zach, do you want to tackle that first?
Sure. So listen, surety, when we talk about bonding, I think one of the misnomers is that it's a bad thing, right? Surety is actually, it's a good thing. And surety offers protection in so many different sorts. But frankly, it's one of the only positive products that's out there and available to owners and developers that can help them protect what they're about to build. And so I think in terms of the toolkit and in terms of particularly the Be Guaranteed to Succeed campaign, we want to frame everything in a manner and in a way, Kat, that people understand that this is all good, and I think that's our key message.
It sounds like the name is kind of intimating that by having that product in place, you might perhaps have a more successful project. What do you think of that, Mike?
Oh, I think that's absolutely true. So what maybe some people don't understand is there's quite a vetting process that is in place before the bonding company bond or a performance and payment bond. And so the bonding company does things like looks at the last 3 years' financials, looks at the owner's personal financial statement, pulls credit reports, does prior surety checks, just a real extensive check on the contractor before they agree to provide bonds to them. And so, a lot of people think, we've never had a problem with a bonded job, so it's probably not worth spending the money on the premium to get the bond. But just as soon as you have a problem and the surety steps in there and fixes all the performance and payment issues, that's really when you would realize the value of the bond.
Yep. So I know as an industry, we use language that may not be familiar to a lot of stakeholders, owners, developers, and others. Like the word obligee and default and things like that, right? So does the Be Guaranteed to Succeed campaign and the toolkit give you an idea of how to speak to stakeholders in ways that they might understand? Is that true, Zach?
So, Mark, what I would say, I think in terms of the toolkit, at least for myself and what I have found, and I think what we're trying to project out to our constituents across the country, is that using Toolkit 2.0 is all about finding what works for you, right? Because we have so many mechanisms that are contained within this toolkit, but yet we all function and operate a bit different in terms of our roles within our agencies and within the brokers that we work for. So I think ideally what we want people to do is fully familiarize themselves with the toolkit. Great. And then be able to take pieces of it and utilize it in your work life in terms of what fits and works in how you do business.
So what actually is in the toolkit? Mike, can you kind of run down what somebody might expect to see if they downloaded that?
Now you're testing my memory, but yeah, let me give it a good shot here. And Zach, you can pipe in on what I missed. So the pieces of the toolkit that have been most useful to me are the social media posts and the videos. And what I like about those two things are, one, they're very professionally done. And two, as an agent, I'm able to co-brand it with the NASBP brand that's already on it. And so those things allow me to go out and promote the surety industry, NASBP, and Insurica Southwest and Mike Speck all in one shot. And so I think that's pretty neat. In addition to that, the way I've been trying to use the posts is to provide information about bonding that folks may not understand. And so in my using the toolkit and talking to others, bankers and general contractors and folks that use our bonds, they're not as knowledgeable about our product as I thought they might be in a lot of cases. And so I feel like I can help them with these posts and some of the information that I provide to them.
That's great. I mean, it sounds like there's some really great graphics and materials.
Yeah.
My understanding is that I guess there's also information about perspective and messaging points, and that was based on research. Is that true, Zach?
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. So, listen, in addition to what Mike had noted, the resources chart that we have, within the guide is an excellent place for people to go and find topical information. And again, whether we're talking with a lender or whether we're talking with a prospect or whether we're actually looking to engage with a subcontractor, right? Oftentimes we want to be able to show the value on why there's a need to require bonds from the subcontractors that are involved with the job, because they can just as easily bring a job down as a general contractor can. There's articles that deal with the promotion of our industry, right? Again, it's a misunderstood industry, I believe, primarily because people just don't take the time to fully engage and figure out what it's about. So often it's referred to in insurance terms, right? And as we all know, for those of us that work in it, it's credit, right, that we're dealing with. And then finally, I think our prospecting resources are some of the finest that have been put together. There's been great time, money invested in developing these prospecting resources. And so, again, I think the most important thing for people to do is delve into it, spend some time, figure out what's in there, and figure out what works for you.
Great. I want to circle back to what both you, Zach, and Mike said, that the materials can make it easier on you in terms of going out there and doing your education or building awareness or prospecting. And is that because not only do you have graphics, but they're messaging points? And then I think, Zach, you'd mentioned you get to pick and choose what you think is going to be most useful for you.
You do. Yeah, I'm sorry. So you do, Mark. Listen, we all acknowledge in 2020 we basically had a force majeure hit all of us, right, in terms of our ability to do business the way we've always known our way of doing business for many, many years. So not just in terms of our clients, but also with our carrier partners and our prospects. And again, as we're evolving here through 2021, it's still slowly coming back. So we're all figuring out new ways of continuing to message with one another. And so again, the toolkit can be awfully important in terms of our ability to be able to do this with all of our partners and those new ones that we're looking for as well.
Right, great. Mike, you had mentioned that you can co-brand the materials. Can you provide us some examples of how you did that and what seemed to work for you?
Right. So one of the things I really enjoy about the toolkit is it allows me to be creative. So our industry is really structured, in terms of qualifying for credit and providing bonding. And, there's kind of all these rules and guidelines that we need to follow in order to put bonding in place. But the toolkit allows us to be creative and put an image and put some information out there that, really allows us to present material in our own fashion. And so what I've done is, fortunately, I have a marketing department at Insurica Southwest, and I sent them the posts, and they put the Insurica logo and contact information on the posts. And then I decided what material I wanted to include with the post. So, for example, yesterday I put a post out about the material price escalations that all our contractor customers are experiencing. And I talked about how there's advanced payment bonds available to them to allow them to buy materials in bulk quantity, and get paid before those materials get installed in the job, and protect the general contractor and or the owner from those materials not showing up at the job or not getting repaid for the advance payment. So that's just one example of, the fun I'm having being creative with the.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that you were able to take it and give it to your marketing department. Is that something you were able to do, Zach?
Yeah. So listen, Mark, I think an important messaging piece in all of this is for those that maybe have not utilized a toolkit or have been reluctant to delve into it in any great degree. The messages and tools that are contained in there were based on extensive interviews that the NASBP did, right? So this wasn't something that was just happily put together.
Right.
And so, folks, whether they were owners, lenders, architects, contractors, government entities, all of the stakeholders that are involved with surety have had involvement with these products that we have within the toolkit itself. Personally, I've loved utilizing it over the last couple of years, particularly as respects a drip campaign. I will often do 2 or 3 drip campaigns a year. We'll sometimes target different entities. Sometimes it's prospects. Sometimes it's lenders. And so again, I think what we're trying to talk about is not just the value of, say, what we as an NASBP agent bring to the table, but what our product is providing as well, right? Because I think there's an educational side of it to get people to understand bonding is a good thing. It's not a bad word.
Yeah. And I think, Zach, that leads into, you had mentioned how important the videos were for you in marketing. That leads into that really well, because those videos really tell the story of the surety product, don't they?
Without question. Listen, it was a joy to be able to get with a couple of our clients and be able to spend a couple days and film the videos. And I think, when you're on the job site and you're meeting and talking to not only the owner, but also the contractor and some of the other subs that are working on the job, you get a full appreciation for just how involved a major project is, such as the one that we did at the hospital with the hospital video.
Yeah, the Du Bois Medical Center video. And I think we have that if we want to give everyone just a little taste of the information that comes across in those videos. I think we can cue up the audio for that video now and just listen into what you're going to hear in those videos and how they tell the story of the surety product.
Perfect.
We've seen more and more patients here at our Du Bois facility, such that we have to add on, which is a good thing. In our current project, we're adding additional operating rooms, a new food prep area, a new cafeteria. As the next project, building a bigger emergency department. We're on a track to become a trauma center. It was important to get a bond so that we had that safety net to make sure that if anything did go wrong, we would be protected. It's very important that this project get done on time so that we could continue here in serving our community. And, the patients would have to go elsewhere for their care. We're the largest emergency department in quite an area. So it would be a hardship if we did not have that. It really is better for patients and their families if they can get their care locally.
That's great. It just talks about how important the bonding was to that project. And I know, Zach, those were clients that you worked with and were able to help us get that video recorded.
They were. And so the gentleman that you just listened to was John Sudica, and John is the president and CEO of the hospital. And again, that's continuing to be an ongoing job, probably 150 million or so in value in a small, somewhat remote area of Pennsylvania. Our contractor was involved with the first acute care facility that was being constructed there at the hospital. So, yeah, listen, I think that in that particular situation, I should say, critical that they're able to bring that project in on time and on budget.
Well, and it seems like, too, if you were a producer who was working with a healthcare client, maybe sharing that video, who didn't have a great understanding of what bonding was and the importance, sharing a video like that could be invaluable.
Listen, as the old expression is, a picture's worth 1,000 words. If that's the case, I think a video can be worth 5,000 words, right? Because I think, we all can relate to a story. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing better than compiling what we have to say in a 60-second video. And that's why I think these videos are so important to the messaging that we want to project out into the public.
And it sounds like the video. So in this case, it was a project owner talking about it on a high-profile project. But I also understand that there are videos from a lender perspective, and even a CPA talks about bonding relationships and other entities as well. Mike, have you been able to do any outreach in terms of the lender community locally?
I have actually. So I lined up a couple meetings with some lenders just to go in and talk about bonding. And surprisingly, something that we take for granted in the surety industry, these bankers weren't aware that they could be named as a dual obligee on the bonds that were provided to their customers for projects where they were the lender. And, so we were able to share that with them and, just make them aware that they could be named as a dual obligee on the project that their customer was doing. And so, that's just one example. And we talked about other benefits that they would get from securing a bond.
Oh, that's great. And then hopefully the resources like the videos and the materials through the kit make that outreach easier. So that's terrific. Zach, is there anything else you would want a producer to know about the toolkit in terms of being more effective at that outreach?
Well, I think the toolkit, as I was conversing with a fellow competitive producer the other day, and we were talking a little bit about it. I noted to him that it helps our industry talk about surety in a new and more compelling way.
Okay.
And I think that to me is the messaging, that we're trying to project out there. Ideally, with so many resources contained within the toolkit, Mark, we just ask you to go find what fits and works for you. And again, we're trying to make this as simple as possible. We're not trying to recreate a wheel here. We're trying to go ahead and message, whether it's Mike talking with a local lender in Arizona, or myself talking with a subcontractor or a supplier, or even somebody new to bonds, right? Oftentimes we're dealing with contractors maybe that haven't dealt into the bonding arena yet. And so we take the time to be able to share with them some of the materials that we have. Again, I have found the videos to be quite effective because I just believe there's great relatability when people can sit back and listen to a 60-second video.
That's great. That's great. So where does someone get these, the toolkit and the materials and the ability to see that? I believe there's a website that is Be Guaranteed to Succeed. If you Google that, it will pop up. And is it easy to download the materials?
Oh, it's incredibly easy. And in fact, I can assure you, I spent a couple minutes on that website right before this recording just to make sure that everything was up and running in there. And it's, again, you can Google Be Guaranteed to Succeed. It'll take you right into the website, and the resources are all right there at your fingertips.
And we'll include that resource link in the description for today's podcast as well. I also wanted to mention both Mike and Zach were able to share on one of the NASBP virtual events in 2020 a presentation where they had slides and examples of all the work, all the ways they've used the Toolkit 2.0. And we can make that link available too if anyone wants to check that out. It is free for all NASBP members. And it really depicts how you, Zach, and you, Mike, have used those resources in your day-to-day lives.
Listen, without question. And, Mike and I loved collaborating on this last year, Kat. It was a lot of fun. And listen, I would say to people, sometimes there's a fear of venturing into something that you haven't done before, right? And so I think that as folks begin to get in and play with it a little bit, there will be greater familiarity. It's not hard to understand some of the key reasons why, if we all understand that our country is contemplating an infrastructure bill that's looking at spending $2 trillion on items such as roads, bridges, broadband, electric grid, creating who knows, millions of jobs over the next 8 years. So we could conceivably see one of the greatest construction booms that this country has ever had. That's right out there on the cusp. So all the more reason for folks to want to go down that path, even if it's one that you haven't gone down before in terms of the Toolkit 2.0.
That's a great point, Zach.
Yeah, sounds like now's the time to be messaging the world out there about the importance of surety and what it brings. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the way I viewed the Be Guaranteed to Succeed campaign in the Toolkit was, this industry's been terrific for me. It's been a great career in terms of providing for my family, and really feel like I'm doing meaningful work, helping our customers out. And so because of that, I wanted to give back to the industry. And, if we as surety professionals aren't going to promote our own product, who will? Mm-hmm. And, like Zach mentioned, NASBP covered the expense of putting together the materials. And so, here's free stuff that's really good. For me, it was an easy decision just to jump on it and start using it. So I'm so thankful to NASBP for the campaign and the toolkit. It's really been a benefit to me.
That's awesome, Mike. And I don't want to let you guys go before I mention, too, that both Zach and Mike were recently awarded the John Jack J. Curtin Jr. President's Award at the 2021 virtual annual meeting for NASBP, just for their commitment to advancing the industry and interests of NASBP, as specifically promoting the Be Guaranteed to Succeed campaign. So I don't know if we could have had anyone better on this podcast with us today to really talk about this.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Hey, Zach, we got to figure out how we're going to share that award. Are you going to have the plaque for like a quarter and then you send it to me?
Well, Mike, I guess you didn't get the text message. I've received the award already, and so it's already here in my office in Pittsburgh. And
at a minimum, could you text me a picture of it?
Well, we'll find a way to get both of you an award. How about that?
That would be awesome. Thank you, Kat. Mike and I certainly we appreciate the shout out on that, and we, as I've said earlier, we've enjoyed working together. We've enjoyed collaborating. We'll continue to collaborate into the future. The Be Guaranteed to Succeed campaign is. It's not just a campaign about NASBP. It's a way for every surety, anybody that touches surety across the country, it's a way for them to make it their campaign. And I think if I leave you with anything, it's that message, and that what we wanted to create and what we wanted to have was basically a library that's open to anybody and everybody that touches surety.
That's a great point, Zach. Mike, did you want to share anything before we let you go?
No, I think Zach wrapped it up really well. So I would just encourage people to, try something new, have some fun with it, be creative, and get out there and promote the industry, your agency, and yourself with the toolkit.
That sounds great. Thanks so much for being on with us, guys.
Thanks,
and again,
gentlemen.
we're going to have those links to both the Be Guaranteed to Succeed campaign website and to the session that Zach and Mike presented, sharing those examples in the description for today's podcast. We'll have to have you guys back again sometime.
You've been listening to Let's Get Surety, brought to you by the National Association of Surety Bond Producers. For more information about the NASBP and its members, visit nasbp.org.
Before we go, we just wanted to thank Liberty Mutual Surety again for their generous support of sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety. Liberty Mutual Surety provides all your bond needs all in one place. For more information on Liberty Mutual's breadth of surety products and solutions, visit www.libertymutualsurety.com.